All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Here today with your host, Richard Fu from richardfu.com. And today, guys, I'm excited. Every time I get a chance to have anyone come on the show to talk about outsourcing, to talk about virtual assistants, virtual teams, I get excited because having to set something like that up is really not the easiest way to do it. But it's great to chat to someone who actually has the systems in place, who has the processes in place to actually build a virtual team with you. And today, guys, I have a special guest. His name's Nick Sinclair. He is the Outsourced accountant, CEO of Outsourced Accounting, where they help people, Australians, Americans, New Zealanders, really sort out their finances, their back-end processes, so that they can then just let the business owner go out there and go have fun, go do what they actually love to do and not get bogged down with the books and the bookkeeping and all the accounts and everything else. But I'm not going to steal his thunder anymore, guys. I'm going to bring you on the show. So, guys, please welcome Nick to the show. Nick, good to have you on.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me today, Richard.
Oh, man, I'm excited to chat, man. And so, Nick, man, for the people who haven't heard about yourself or your work, could you share a bit more about how you got there and actually how you help people?
Yeah, so my background is actually as a financial planner. So for 12 years, I owned a financial planning and accounting practice. And we originally put our back office in the Philippines for our own business, was how the journey started. So that was, back 6 years ago now, I went over originally to the Philippines for a board conference for a board I sit on with a group called the Entrepreneurs Organisation. So I sat on their Queensland board for 2 years, and all of the boards from around the world met in the Philippines. So I went over there, was there for the board retreat, was what I thought I was there for. And then I went and met with one of our members called Micah Hagan from Mini Movers. And I went and saw what he was doing, and he was generating thousands of leads per day for his business. And it just a light bulb moment for me. It just opened my eyes up to, what I could do with our business. Typically financial planning and accounting businesses are very admin heavy. So you're looking at, 3 to 4 support staff for every income producer. So for me, it was, all right, how do we become more efficient, add more value add to our clients, do it more cost effectively, and everyone wins. So that was the original, went on the journey. How this business evolved, though, that was a completely separate business. So that was a financial planning and accounting business. We had, at the peak, 38 staff in Australia and 30 in the Philippines. Wow. But the outsourced accountant evolved. One of my mates, Rob Nixon, who owns a company called Panalytics, is one of the, I suppose, the world's most known coaches in the accounting world. So he asked me to come on a speaking tour with him. So he spoke to 1,500 accountants around 13 capital cities in Australia and New Zealand, and to talk about my story. And after the first event in Newcastle, I had 5 accounting firms come up to me and say, look, I love what you do. We can see the real value of it, but we don't want to replicate what you're doing and go through the pain of setting up. Do you have an offering? And, being young and what I call young and dumb, or entrepreneurial, if you want to call it that. I said, it's called the Outsourced Accountant. And then suddenly, within 9 months, we had 90 staff. And, fast forward 3.5 years, we've now got 450 staff. We'll be about 800 by the end of the year. So, complete, just a life change. I exited out of that, my accounting and planning business, would have been about 14 months ago now. Not so successfully exited. It was a bit of a mess, but you live and you learn. And so now this is my full-time focus.
Wow. And I love that you share this, Nick. And this is something I want to pull out here for all the people who are like startups or entrepreneurs or want to start that journey, is that you didn't even have an offering, but you just tested out the market like subconsciously without even knowing, right? You did your talk and then they came up to you and they asked you, this is what we want. Can you do something? You said yes, right?
Yeah, and look, I think too many people try and think that they've got the world's best product, or they try and create a business because they think it's what people want. And, I learned this from Rob Nixon, my mate from Panalytics, and he's always said, sell the product before you've built it. So, fly the plane before you've even put the wings on it. But if people buy it and they're saying yes, up the price on it. And if they keep buying it, increase the price again. He said, once you've sold a product, then you have something that you have to sell. Too many people create something and spend all their time and resources, and they build a product that no one wants. So Rob's philosophy has always been is sell something, then create it if there's a demand for it, because it's easier to try and sell something and it doesn't sell. You haven't wasted any time or money.
Yeah,
so, while it's hard you can't sell a technology platform without actually having something. There's a lot of things you can do to pre-sell or trial it before you go to the time of investing in building out or even doing it. You got to see if there's actually customers that want to buy what you're selling. So, and for me, that was my biggest lesson to that. We had a viable product without even knowing it. I was focused on my own practice. I wasn't focused on what this outsourcing world could be and what it's turning into.
Wow, man. And I'm super geeking out over here, Nick, right? Because I'm so Nick, so tell me this, talk us through these steps. So basically you already had a team functioning for yourself, right, in the background. And then these people said, we want something like that and we don't want to build it ourselves. We just want to tap into your team. So talk us through how you brought that in and how you made that work with your team. Did you have to hire more people, or did you just say, okay, we're just going to put in one client first, see how much you can actually take and then scale up from there? Walk us through how you did it.
Yeah, again, young and dumb, we just said yes to all 5 and we ran with it. So, look, we already had an office that had seating capacity of 60 seats, but we only had 30 filled. So part of the process of saying yes, we'd do it is we actually had excess seats that were sitting there that we had already, set up and were paying for the office. We already had a HR team. We already had an IT team. We already had the infrastructure on a smaller scale. So we already had the people there, and they'd already done the work initially to recruit and for our staff. So for us to be able to take on, 5 firms, I think they each took on 1 or 2 people each to start with. So not significant numbers to start with. So it was easy for us to go and find 5 people, induct them into the business. We just put a different colour shirt on them. They were part of that team, not the Wealth Farm team. So, it was an easy process because we already had the infrastructure there. We had everything there. If I had no available office space and seats, I probably would have still said yes and then went and hired some space and done it. But everything, the infrastructure was there. It was just ready for us to be able to, originally my thoughts were, let's just fill those 30 seats. That will actually cover the cost of my office. So I'm not physically paying for it anymore for my other business. Now it's free for my business. Plus it was going to pay for some of my support staff. So originally I was doing it as, I can cover some costs, make a little bit of money, but it's more going to cover the costs and allow me to grow my own team. And then, 9 months later, we had 90 people that were from accounting firms. After a 3-week tour, we'd pretty much sold, and we need to go and get another 2 or 3 offices.
Wow. Amazing, man. Amazing. And even let's say this, Nick, I'm sure you probably sat there and okay, you said yes to all 5. And then next question was how much? Right. And for something that you never even thought about turning into a product, talk us through your thought process on how you actually even determine the price. Did you just say, look, just cover my costs and a little bit more, or how did that work, man?
Googled what other providers that were similar to what I was wanting to be were and charged exactly the same as them. In fact, it was slightly cheaper. So my market research was that I'd done a tour over there. So I'd gone and seen 30 different providers. Before we set up our own, we were actually in another outsourcing company.
Okay.
So I knew what we were paying them. I knew what others were charging, and I just basically went, all right, $650 a month. That sounds good. There was no financial calculation around it. There was no break even, and there was nothing. It was literally just pluck a number that everyone else was charging and run with it.
Wow, I love it, man. I love it. And this blows my mind because it's what? The accountant didn't do the break-even numbers, didn't do the forecasting, all this.
I'm a financial planner. I look forward. I don't worry about the numbers, which, fortunately, we've got a really good CFO now that's really where they add value. Around that.
Yeah. Gotcha. And I love it, man, because it's it's really not getting caught up in the details. It's just let's get the sales coming in. And this is the really important part, especially for entrepreneurs. Wouldn't you agree, Nick, is that when you're first an entrepreneur, the whole objective is to build that product that gets sales, right?
You can have the best company and the best product and the best everything, but if you got no one paying for it, it's not a viable product. So, too many businesses are born out of people that have got technical skills that think they can go and create a business instead of, focusing on that sales and marketing. And, I hate companies that say, look, we're a referral-based business, so am I. If I do a good job, I'll get referrals from my clients, but that's not what a business is. Tell me one commercial business that makes a good profit that is only referral based. It's just non-existent. No publicly listed company, bang their chest going, I'm, referral based. Well, you're not a business. You're relying on doing a good job for someone and them going and telling other people. It's not scalable at a fast pace.
Wow.
So, you've got the founder and if you as the founder are not strong at sales and marketing, then you need to go into partnership with someone that has that strength, because that's the most critical part during that initial phase of growth, is having that real strong sense of being able to sell what you do. In my business, we sold advice. We didn't sell product, we sold advice. In this business, we're selling capacity. We're selling freeing up people's time.
Yes.
The profit increase is a byproduct of outsourcing. Outsourcing allows the right people to do the right task at the right time for the right cost. Because too many people are billing themselves out at $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $100 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever your hourly rate is. Then you need to look at what is the work you're doing, and is that $100 an hour task? Like, I look at my role now. I'm CEO of a company that's 450 staff. We're going to be 800 staff this year. I look at the tasks that I should be doing and go, my hourly rate based on my salary and based on the profit that I want this business to make is X. What tasks do I do that will add value to the business and get it to its goals? And what tasks am I doing that I could get someone else in my team at a different hourly rate that's better than me at it and has more skills than me and is passionate about that, and get them to do it, because I love it. I hate it. There's certain things that I absolutely hate doing, and I'm no good at it. So why would I put myself through it when I can get someone at the right money, at the right price, and loves doing that task to do it?
Nick, man, there's so many golden nuggets getting dropped in there, and I want to bring this in here because, this is huge. This is huge. It's so often that, and I'm sure you see this, right? Sometimes you have prospects that are like, Nick, but, I can do it myself. And I don't think people value enough of their time right now in this world. Like, we think we have so much of it, and I think, tell us, man, tell us.
Look, I've got a famous quote, Jack Daly. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jack Daly, the sales coach. Absolute legend when it comes to sales. And one of his sayings that he says whenever he talks on stage is, if you have the problem where you can't delegate, do you think that you're the best person in the world to do everything that you do? So is there no one better than you in the world at the right price that can do what you do better? And, he's a massive advocate of, outsourcing everything that you aren't good at doing and get someone else that is good at doing that. So, whenever someone says, I can do it better, I go, yeah, great. But what happens when you go on holidays? What happens when you triple your leads and inquiries into the business and you can't do it all? You're not a business. You're a person trying to create a lifestyle. So do you want to be a business? Like, my role in my business is to allow us to build a team where I don't have to do anything, where the business runs 24 hours a day without even me being around. That's what a business is. So if you're a control freak that thinks you're the only person that can do it, you're never actually going to be able to free yourself from the business.
Yeah, man. And it's not only that. I see that a lot of the times it's about business owners diving into their ego, wanting to be like, Nick, it's so awesome that my whole team needs me every day. You know how good that feeling is? And it's like, I'm like you, brother. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, man. I'm not free. It doesn't set you free.
I'm the opposite. What drives me is seeing my team, grow, to see them taking on. I was talking with our CFO this morning about our head of finance, who's based in the Philippines. And I said, every time I email her, I now know that she's going to come back and basically put me in my place, because what I'm asking is, has it been done? It's always been done. Yes, we've been doing that for 6 months, Nick. It's basically, go away and let me do my thing.
Oh, I love that. And I think it's this sense of control that we try and have that doesn't actually exist. That doesn't actually exist, does it?
No, and I'm fortunate. I've always been involved in team sports, and I've never been one to need to feel important and in control of everything. I'd rather, do what I'm good at doing, participate in the team in that way, and then watch people learn and grow in their roles. And again, I run on the philosophy, hire people that are a lot smarter and a lot better than you at the things what you're not good at doing. So I do what I'm really, really good at doing. And then everything else, I've hired people that are 40 times smarter than me. I've got an executive team of 6 here that run our global business, and they are some of the best talent around. My role is to mentor and guide them on the business and let them do what they're good at doing, because they're so much smarter than me. They've got so much more experience than me in what they do. And, my goal is to help them become better and better.
Oh man, that's exactly the role of a CEO of any company, and no matter the size of it. And Nick, man, there's something that you mentioned here. You were talking about that quote, right, from Jack, I forget his last name.
Jack Daly.
Jack Daly, right?
D-A-L-Y, yep.
Yeah. And you said that, if you think you're the best at it, there's most likely someone better than you at it.
There's always someone better than you. There always is.
And I want to chime in here. I want to say, even if you can't get that person who's better than you, what happens if you get someone who's 80% of you and you get 2 of them, right? And then that team of 2 people, would that not be better than you?
That's spot on. I've got another mate, Phil Richardson. He runs the biggest payroll company in New Zealand. Okay. This guy is a serial entrepreneur, and he came and had a chat to my entrepreneurs, what we call forum. So we meet with 8 different business owners every month. 8 of us meet, and we generally have different conversations, different topics. And we got Phil in one day, and he said, a few of the guys in my group are control freaks. They need to be in control of everything. And he said to one of them challenged him, and he said, I would rather have 2 people doing 80% of what you're doing than you doing 100%. He said, because 2 people at 80% is 160% versus one at 100. And Gary, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk.
Of course, you love that guy.
But he's a freak. But there's a video a couple of, I think it was last week, that was all around that, is that don't get something perfect before you launch it. People too often get it perfect and make sure that it is 100% ticked off, and then they'll roll it out and launch it. And one of my executive team, I won't say which one because they'll be watching this, but they were having that problem where they were trying to get the projects for the quarter 100% right and fine-tuned and perfect. And I just sent a Gary V's video and said, look, watch this. This is the mindset of, don't worry about perfect. 80% is good enough. But for people that are perfectionists, and there's a lot of people in business that come from a technical background, not a business owner mindset, and they just want to get things right. I can't launch something with incorrect spelling. Who cares? People aren't buying the incorrect spelling. They're buying the value and the product of what you're selling. Our website at the moment is horrible. It's shocking. We've got a marketing team of 20 people. If you went to our website, you'd just be like, team of 20, how? It's horrible. But there's so much stuff in the background that we're doing. It's like a leaking tap at the moment. It's just dripping. And then in 3-4 months' time, you're going to see a completely new brand, videos daily. There's so much stuff that we're going to be rolling out. But if you went there now, it looks horrible, but we are growing at 100% a year with a horrible website. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Focus on the things that matter, which is sales. It's customer satisfaction, It's focus on the levers, not the pretty fluffy stuff.
Oh man, I'm so glad we're talking about this, Nick, because so often it's like, oh, gonna make this look pretty, gonna make that look pretty. Like, who gives a crap about what your Facebook page looks like? Don't spend money on that unless you're making ads, and that's what your money should be spent on, right?
Exactly.
Oh man, and so then talk us through this then, Nick. I love to understand, how do you guys do your marketing in terms of the outsourced account, right? Are you running Facebook ads, or are you doing LinkedIn, or what's working best for you guys at the moment?
Yeah, look, we're pivoting is probably the thing. So we try a lot of things. So 14 months ago, we set up an outbound team in our Philippines office. So we've now got 10 people on the phone, and they're generating anywhere between 60 and 80 appointments a week for us. But there's a lot of digital stuff that goes on before that. So before we call someone, they've received a lot of nurture campaigns, have received a lot of blogs and content videos. So we pretty much if you look at a marketing manual and you go, you've got digital, you've got outbound, you've got direct, you've got conferences, we do it all. What we do in our marketing though is we follow a method called predictable revenue. I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, but it's breaking up a sales process. And I'll use a real estate agent, for example. A real estate agent typically would go and get the listing. So they would go and do the initial, so they would do the prospecting. They'll be calling people saying, look, you want to sell your house? They'll be walking the streets, putting leaflets in letterboxes. Someone then rings them and says, look, I want to sell my house. I found your leaflet in my letterbox. They'll then go out and do the prospecting sale. They'll then go back and then they'll do the contracts so they're doing everything. Predictable revenue is about getting the right people to do the right task. So you would have a lead gen person. You would then have someone doing literally the face-to-face sales. They then walk out of that and give it to a sales coordinator, a virtual sales coordinator, which then manages it through until the person says, yep, I've either got more questions or I want to go ahead. Then it goes to a contract administration. Then it goes to someone who posts the ads online, gets the inquiries and filters them. So what it really is getting the right people to do the right part in the sales process. So we have a lead gen team, we have a marketing team. Our sales team do the phone call, they hang up, they do audio dictation. It then goes over to our our team in the Philippines, our sales coordinators, and they do 90% of the process behind the scenes. So all our salespeople are doing is phone calls, which is selling advice. We're very consultative in our process. So what they're doing is they're selling the outsourcing advice and education. So we're educating the sales processing, and that's all being done by other people around us. So our salespeople are typically talking to 25 to 40 people a week each, and all they're doing is having high value educational conversations. That's their job. All of the stuff around them is being done for them. So they literally come into work in the morning, a diary is full of appointments there, they're all confirmed. All they do is dial the number, hi John, it's Mark here, I've got a 2 o'clock appointment, whatever it is. They hang up, they do a file note, they do the next call. They don't have to think about anything other than doing those calls because everything's done for them. So that predictable revenue model, when we put that in place, it was a game changer. And a few of my mates that own businesses have done it, and it's just completely flipped their businesses because too many people, you look at a typical accounting role even, they're charging out at, $150 to $400 an hour. And 80% of their job's admin. It's their benefit is actually helping a client grow their business. They're getting buried in administration. And you look at a typical salesperson, most of the time they're prospecting, they're then trying to sell, they're then trying to do the paperwork after it. They're not actually selling. Someone on the ground should just be selling all day. So businesses just don't set their structure up right to succeed. They're doing it where you go, all right, well, a salesperson does everything. Oh, yeah, you can do that, but that's 40 years ago. That's not now. It's not 2017. So the book, the book's called Predictable Revenue. For anyone that wants to scale a sales team, it's a game changer, absolute game changer. You don't even have to read the book. You can go to predictablerevenue.com, I think it is. And it pretty much tells you, it's like a mini ebook. There's 10 pages. You read the website and you'd understand it probably 40 times easier than what I just explained it as.
Oh man, I'm gonna punch it in here, man. I'm like, I gotta check this thing out as well, man. This sounds awesome.
And Nick, check it out. It's good. It is good.
Yeah, and Nick, so talk us through this. We can outsource a lot of things in a business, right? But from your perspective and through your experience, which functions would you outsource first for a business who's like, okay, we got some sales coming in, we know that product's proven, right? But what should I outsource first? Should I outsource sales or should I outsource the delivery side so I can focus on sales? What are your thoughts?
Oh, look, it's a real tough question because every business is different. I've seen everything being outsourced, client-facing work. The only thing you can't do is the physical role where the person needs to be in front of the person. Virtual holograms are coming, so maybe in the future. But what my advice would be is to look at, the role that you're doing at the moment, where could you be freed up and get the most capacity in what you're doing at the moment? So you'd just basically time clock what you're doing for a week, and then all you do is break through and go, right, these are all the tasks that I could get a virtual assistant to do that, you know, would free me up an extra hour a day. So my example, when I first started with my own firm, I put on my own EA, executive assistant. I was getting 350, 400 emails a day. I was giving advice to clients. I'd come out of a meeting and I'd just be buried in emails. So she ended up saving me about 2.5 to 3 hours a day. So you multiply that, it's 15 hours a week of my time that I could be then selling more advice, growing the business. So for me, just someone simply managing my emails, my diary and my life was a massive game changer for me. So it's really about identifying, if you had to employ someone today to come and take the work off you, what would that role look like? The fact that they sit overseas is irrelevant. It's what are the tasks that you're doing that are simple, process-driven, replicable, like just everyday type things that someone can do. For me, it was email management, because I was spending, 400 emails a day, hours and hours a day on it. That was for me the simplest, and then it then rolled out to be a range of other things. But everything's being done over there. If you ever went on a trip to the Philippines, which I recommend to any business owner that wants to have their mind absolutely blown apart, MicahHagan.com is the guy that I know from EO, which is how I first got over there. He runs tours, business tours, to go and look at what you could do. You visit about 40 outsourcing companies in 3 days in the Philippines, and it just blows your mind up. And look, you can do anything. There's everything being there. It's a matter of what's going to make the biggest impact, but have the less amount of time originally to get that person up and running.
Man, I love it, Nick. And man, it pains me because we got to start wrapping up on this call here, Nick. And
all good.
Oh man, as we wrap up on this call, we go into our quick fire question round here, Nick. And I want to start off with our signature question, man. And it's what we call a time travel moment. And so if you could go back to any moment in your life, Nick, and give little Nick a piece of advice today, when would you go back to and what would you tell him?
I would have listened to my mentors. When I first started my business, I was 21. I thought I started with nothing. I thought I knew everything, and I grew too fast. And I learned the hard way with my growth. So, listen to the people that have been there and done that, because they've experienced everything. So surround yourself with mentors of people that are successful and have been there and done it, because it's the same things. You'll learn from their mistakes and you'll fast track you 10 times.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And the next question I have for you, Nick, is after you actually listened to them, right? And you actually woke up, what was the best advice? The one that sticks through with you almost daily, or even sometimes where you just say, oh my God, that came up again in my life?
Yeah, look, passion, purpose, and value. It's having a passion for what you do, the purpose of why you're doing it. Simon Sinek, what's your why? And what value do you add in your role? I know myself, I won't be CEO of this business in 3 years because you'll need someone better than me. So what value do I add to the business, and where do I fit within the bus?
Wow. Awesome, man. Awesome. Last question here, Nick, is, if there was a book that you recommend that is a total must read for anyone here listening, what would that be?
I've got this book here, Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. It's a game changer. So Scaling Up, Vern Harnish, he actually founded Entrepreneurs Organization, but if you have not heard of him and you've not read the book, stop everything and get the audio book, and it'll be a game changer.
Awesome, man. We'll add that to the show notes. And so, Nick, as we wrap up the show here, is there anything else you want to add that we didn't get a chance to chat about today? No, look, just implement. Stop thinking and do. Do. Stop thinking and act. Too many people talk, not enough people implement. You're only gonna win if you implement. Beautiful, man. And so for people who want to get connected with you, Nick, and the Outsourced Accountant, where's the best place they should head to? TheOutsourcedAccountant.com. I'm on Twitter, Nick Q Sinclair on Twitter and
on Facebook, Nicholas Sinclair, or just Google me and Nick Sinclair, the outsourced accountant, and or Nick at theoutsourcedaccountant.com.au. Just send me an email. So.
Awesome, Nick. We'll add them into the show notes, man. I just want to say thank you, man, for jumping on the show and sharing your wisdom and breaking through on the truth behind outsourcing, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And so, guys, this wraps up another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast with the outsourced accountant himself, Nick Sinclair. And I know this, Nick doesn't want to keep this a secret. I don't want to keep this a secret. This must go out there. Stop doing everything yourself and start doing us a favor and share this message out. And make sure if you don't want to do this, then get a VA to do it for you. Go onto iTunes and rate the show and give us 5 stars if you thought this was a great episode. Of course, guys, head on over to richardfu.com for all the show notes and resources Nick has shared. And remember, guys, go out there, go live with love, and go smash it. And I'll see you again on the next one.